Hi there and welcome. I'm Cheryl and this is Your Journey Yoga. Thank you so much for joining me today. A little something different. We've done some self-massage and fascia release for the neck and the shoulders, the back, the legs. But I've had some folks personally and through YouTube that are having issues kind of with tennis or golfer's elbow. So that tendonitis that you're kind of getting in that elbow joint from overuse, from maybe not being as strong as it needs to be for the activity that you're giving it. So just some different muscle movements that aren't of the norm can send, or too much of excess, if you're overusing, that can really put a kink in your life. So some techniques that we can do to help alleviate some of that discomfort and pain, and hopefully over time and consistency correct it to the point where you don't have to deal with this anymore. So wouldn't that be great? So I have, this is just going to mimic a countertop. So we're just going to use a flat surface that you can stand or sit at, kneel at, so whatever works for you. So any kind of a table, countertop, what have you, just a flat surface that works for you. And then I have a massage ball. You can use a tennis ball, you can use a softball, a baseball, a lacrosse ball, a golf ball. So what I want you to realize is the density of the ball. So the harder the ball, the more intense it's going to be for that self-massage. The smaller the ball, also the more intense. So if you're really in a lot of pain, guys, I would go with a softer, larger ball. Tennis ball, or this massage ball has some give to it too. A racket ball is also a nice choice if you want to do that too. And then I just have a light weight. If you do not have any weights, my friends, grab a soup can, a water bottle, just anything that has a little bit of weight to it, and we'll use that. So light, you don't want to go real heavy here. So this is just going to be strengthening the wrists and the forearm. All right, you guys, so to get started, we are going to, I'm going to move this so that it's in front of me. So again, mimicking a countertop, and I'm going to come up onto my knees. So you want to be able to have a little bit of weight being put on this. You can judge how much weight you want to put on it. So first of all, I just want you to grab the ball, okay, whatever ball you have. And again, softer. Be nice to your body. We're going to do both arms. So one thing is that with tennis elbow, yeah, you have a dominant arm, correct? So when you use forearm, serve. If you're right-handed, you're always using that right arm. However, we're going to get that left arm too, just so that we have the fascia, the muscles, the ligaments, the tendons, all hydrated, all happy, and all kind of even, okay? So one thing that happens, if you've ever done PT and you've done any extra work on one particular side, one particular joint, and you don't give that same amount of love to the other, oftentimes the other side of your body is like, hey, what the heck? And it's not nearly as strong, efficient, flexible as the side you've been working on. So we want to focus on the side that's giving you the issues, but we also want to add in the other side, all right, you guys? So with that ball, we're going to come forward onto the counter, onto the table. And you want to do so that your hand is over the countertop. So wherever that needs to be for you. You can use a chair. Actually, a chair is great too. So coming over, and we're going to turn forearm and palm up. I'm going to go ahead and lean on both forearms. And I'm going to let this right hand, so I'm working my right arm, this right hand is just going to gently fall down, and I want to squeeze. So I'm going to let that wrist break, and I'm just going to squeeze this ball. Now, if you don't have a ball, you can just squeeze your fist, okay? But we want that wrist to be bent, flexed, okay? So if you've got a ball, squeeze it. Now I'm just putting even weight on my shoulders here, guys, because it's not about leaning on that right arm. It's about kind of keeping that weight distributed evenly, keeping that core strong so that the back stays happy as I'm leaning over. Let's do 2 more squeezes. And now we're going to lift the ball. I'm not squeezing. I'm just holding the ball. Nice, easy little grip. You can actually let the ball just kind of roll. So I want you to notice how this feels, because we're going to actually do this later with adding the weight. So if the ball is like, wow, I really feel this. Now you can back your weight off a little bit and sit it back. And just notice the difference here as the weight's shifted back, but we keep that same motion. Now we're going to lift that hand and we're going to make a circle. Doesn't matter which direction, but I want that circle to be as big as possible. Now I want you to notice, are you starting to feel this in your shoulder at all? It's all good. It's all good. We're working the muscles. So just making that big circle with that wrist. Again, not squeezing. Last rotation, and then we're going to switch directions. So some of this can kind of be a mind game too, guys. You're like, switch directions. How do I do that? It's about firing the different muscles, the nerves that you need to do to make mindful movements. It's all about mindful movements, guys. That connection of mind and body is huge. Last rotation. And let's move into some self-massage. So we're going to place our ball onto our chair, onto our counter, wherever it is. And you're going to take that forearm and you're going to place the ball right on that mid-belly forearm. Now it's going to feel a little odd. So I just want you to find that space. And we're going to go right along the striation of the muscles. Okay, so that up and down movement. And you can put as much weight on that ball as you need. So I'm kind of, you notice I shifted position. I'm kind of leaning over onto that left arm a little bit just to give myself a little different mobility as I pull that arm back and forth. It's just a little more natural for me. So you want to find that space that feels okay to you. And this might take some time, guys, to figure out what, as in a chair, a counter, a table, that works best for you. And I'm putting as much pressure on as feels okay. And I'm kind of moving a little bit around. So I want to get, so the idea being, we want to get below where it's hurting, above where it's hurting. We want to go along the striation of the muscle, and again, striation of the muscle. And then we want to cross fiber that muscle, so going across the forearm. So once you've kind of gotten that whole up and down from the wrist to just below your elbow, we're going to do that cross fibering. So depending upon how slippery your ball is, guys, just be mindful if you've had lotion on, and you're just going to kind of maneuver, and you might have to move the ball. You guys, it's okay. It's not perfection. It's not supposed to be super smooth. It's just about learning. Oh, and I feel this like ropey thing. So if you feel kind of that ropey sensation, yep, that just means your fascia is not super happy, a little dehydrated, a little sticky, and we just want to work across it. So you may not find those trigger points like you do typically in your legs or your back or your shoulders. You very well may. Okay, and I'm just going to kind of roll, turning my hand. So now I'm right below that elbow, and I found a little bit, so I'm going to stay here and I'm just going to rock that ball back and forth a little bit. So it's just about, oh, crazy ball. It's just about finding those spots that need the little bit of love, guys. Staying on those spots, but not overdoing. Okay, so you can overdo self-massage. So it's not about spending half a day here and then all of a sudden being fixed. Nope, it's about consistency and it's about kindness. Okay, so as I rotate my palm, now all of a sudden I'm on the back of the arm. Okay, no longer on the forearm or the inside of the forearm, I'm on the back of the forearm. Anything there? Okay, so if you find something, stay there and then rotate your hand down and open. Rotate down, just a gentle pressure, as much as feels right to you, and open, down, and open. Good. Let's come to the other side. So we've got that hand. We're going to come forward and we're going to let that wrist just kind of break over the chair, over the table, over the counter, wherever it is. And we're going to let that ball just kind of hang. And we're going to squeeze and release and squeeze. So we keep that bend in the wrist, squeeze and release. So again, just coming forward, squeeze and release, squeeze. So keeping that flex in the wrist, just let your hand be heavy. Let the ball just kind of gently pull you down. Squeeze and release, squeeze and release. So just some different angles, guys, so hopefully you can see a little bit better what I'm doing. Good, now we're gonna hold on to that ball and we're gonna make a big circle with the wrist. So palm stays up, but you can rotate that wrist. We're just trying to make as big a circle as we can. So really working the mobility and the flexibility of the wrist. Breathe. Find that breath, guys. One more rotation and switch directions. Now you might notice that one side feels a little more natural, particularly if you're right-handed. The coordination on the left side, guys, it can be kind of funny, at least for me. I know it is. I try hard, though. Really, the biggest thing, you guys, is just do your best. Always, right? With life, do your best. What else do you have, right? That's everything you've got is your best. Last rotation. Good. Now we're going to take that ball up and down. We're not squeezing. We're just letting that ball hang in that hand. Just giving a little curvature to those fingers up and around that ball. Awesome. So now I'm going to switch sides over here so it's a little bit easier for you to see. And I'm going to place that ball down. And again, we're going to find that little meaty part of the underside of the forearm. And you can adjust. I'm going to come over onto my right arm and just I can really press into that left forearm. And I'm going to go right along the striation of the arm, of the muscle. So it's kind of funny, even though you may be right-handed, you might find a little bit more stickiness, aggravation, unhappy muscles or fascia in this arm. Because a lot of times, man, it's funny, with the dominant hand, dominant arm, dominant leg, we spend a little more time giving that love just normally, just unconsciously. So oddly enough, I am feeling a fair amount in this left arm too. So it's a good thing we're here. And again, we're just playing with the ball. Okay, so regardless of what it is, a little trick too that's kind of cool is if you have like a golf ball or a lacrosse ball, put it in the freezer. So if you're really struggling, guys, that cold and the ball is an amazing tool to have in your tool belt to combat pain, discomfort, and to have for that self-massage. And I'm just going to cross fiber. Remember, that's going across, back and forth, across the muscles. Not too bad. So coming into that elbow, just below the elbow. We don't ever want to be right on that bone, for sure, for sure. And I'm just playing. So I'm just going to rotate. No right or wrong here, guys, unless there's pain involved, then yeah, nope. And knowing the difference between pain and the hurt so good, okay? So now I'm going to take the ball and I'm going to find the back of the forearm. And I'm going to do that same thing, going right along the striation of the muscle. Palm is facing up. I'm pressing as hard as I want to press to find that good massage. Breathe. So even though we may not be doing our yoga, right, we still need to make those big deep breaths, guys, because those exhales, yep, still key in letting go of tension and telling that body that all is well. Okay, having that sympathetic nervous system relax, that parasympathetic nervous system, that's the one where everything is good, life is right, we can be calm and relaxed. That's what we want. Awesome. All right, so now we're going to move to the back of the arm, to the tricep. Okay, so here, I'm going to put it just above my elbow. Elbow is bent, and I'm going to lean in and roll. So again, going right along the muscle fiber, right along the striation. Breathe. So with that elbow bent, it's not a huge movement, guys, but it's a decent one. Maybe 4 or 5 inches, and you might have to adjust the ball because as we move, goodness knows it's not a perfect world. Sometimes we can be a little more spastic than others, particularly on this left side. And then I'm just going to go back and forth across that fiber. Whoop. Breathe. And if you have a really slippery ball, guys, just have that right hand there in case it does spill out the side. Okay, so now just above the elbow, and I want you to extend the arm, pressing into that elbow, almost all the way straight. If you can go straight, great. And then slowly pull it back up. Extend it out. So I'm just staying in that same spot with moderate pressure, whatever's right for you. And I'm going to do that one more time. And coming back up. Now I want you to slide it back towards your shoulder a little bit, leaning in, moderate pressure on that ball. And again, extend and lift that hand, bending the elbow. Extend and lift. One more time. Extend and bend. Now I want you to take that hand so you create about a 90-degree bend with your elbow, and we're going to roll the hand inward. You're going to feel that ball shift kind of to the inside of the arm, and then roll those fingertips back towards the sky, and then take the fingertips out. So that external rotation, back through center, once again to the inside, just as far as feels okay to you, keeping that 90-degree bend with the arm. Take the fingertips back up and out and back to center. Nice. Coming on up. Hopefully that ball stays where it is, and we're going to come forward, placing that ball just below the elbow, moderate pressure, and extend as long as you can get that arm, and then pull it back up. So again, still moderate pressure, guys. Extend. So we're just extending and bending the elbow, keeping that palm open. So that pressure, we're just getting that pressure massage. Hopefully it's not too much, guys. So we've moved back to that right arm. And if you are right-handed, if this is the one that's giving you trouble, take note, okay? So we don't want to aggravate it any more than it already is. So this should be a hurt so good, not a, man, this is just not good. Not feeling good at all. Last time, take it up and open it back up. Now pull it up and let's slide that ball forward just a bit, maybe 2 or 3 inches. You'll feel it. Kind of back of that tricep. And if you need to adjust the ball, guys, adjust at any point. And then extend. So moderate pressure once again. Ooh, hello. And bring it back up. So tricep. Goodness sakes. I hope you're feeling this like I am. Actually, I know, I hope you're not feeling this, but I hope it feels really good. It does feel good, but it's one of those where you're like, ooh, man, alrighty then. Last time, let's open and pull it in. Now you're going to pull it in and you're going to make 90 degrees. And we're just going to roll the fingertips to the inside, still that moderate pressure, and then back through center. And now over and out. Back through center. And once again to the inside. Back through center. And once again to the out. Back through center. Let's do one more. So the good thing is if you find something, one of these stretches, one of these massages that just feels amazing, come back through to center. And we're just going to roll it back and forth. That feels amazing. You can stay here. Okay, you can put me on pause. You can turn me off. Just turn me back on and let's finish. But you can always pause and stay and work a little bit longer on that area. You can always come back to it too. So again, these things you can overdo. So you don't want to cause any bruising. You don't want to go crazy, guys. So I always tell you guys, intensity should be kind of between a 7 or an 8. Yes, keep it that way. Never, never, never need to go to a 9 or a 10, okay? If anything, be a little more gentle and kind. All right, guys, so now we're going to move on we've massaged, and we are going to add our weight. So I'm going to come back this way just so it's a little easier, I think, to see. Setting my ball off to the side. So remember that when we did the wrist, right? So we're going to do that same thing, only we're going to do different directions. So starting, I want you to let that arm hang. And depending upon the weight that you have, it might pull you a little bit more than if you, say, have a soup can or a water bottle. So it's all good, guys. Just let gravity take a hold of that hand and the wrist and get that good flex. You should feel a nice stretch right along the forearm. And then we're going to pull it up and curl it in. Hold. And then slowly come back down. Resist that pull. Pull it up and hold. Working on our Popeye forearms. I'm just kidding, we're not going to get Popeye forearms, but we're going to get them strong and healthy. And slowly release it down and bring it up. Hold. And slowly back down. We're going to do that 2 more times. We're going to do sets of 5. Now, as you get stronger and stronger, you can up your weights, you can up the number of reps, you can add in different sets. Breathe. Last one. And slowly, gently release it down. Now we're going to flip that arm over. So you might need to adjust. And again, we're going to let that wrist break. So I want you to now notice how that feels through the top of your hand, through the top of your wrist, all the way up through the forearm and into the elbow. We're going to do that same thing. We're going to pop the wrist up, hold, and slowly let it come back down, resisting gravity pulling you. And lift. And slow release down. How are we doing? And lift. And slowly release it down. And lift. And slowly release it down. We've got one more. And lift. And slowly release it down. Now we're going to lift that wrist to neutral, and we're going to rotate so that the dumbbell, your soup can, your water bottle is up and down. Okay, so in that vertical position. And we're going to take the wrist forward and back. So we're kind of resting on that outer edge of our forearm. And just taking it forward and back. So fatigue, it's a real thing. Good. One more. Come back to neutral, and we're going to take it up and back, almost like you're swinging a hammer. Up and down. So without that swing of the forearm, it's just the bend of the wrist. So we're getting all the different angles of that wrist. Good. Last one. And place it down. Let's switch. All right, guys. So now we get that left arm. All right, so we're going to place the forearm down, let the bend or the wrist bend, and we're going to palm up, okay? And then we're going to curl it in. So trying to keep that back of the forearm against whatever that flat surface may be. There's this tendency to kind of want to lift and engage your bicep. I don't want you to do that. I want you to just stay focused right through the wrist and the forearm. Biceps are going to engage just a little bit anyway, but if you start to lift that forearm off, they engage more than we want. Okay, so let's keep that focus on that lower portion of the arm. Breathe. Last one. And flip it over. So again, we're resisting, right, as we lower. So we're going to lift it up. That's hard enough, right? We got that load. And then we're going to slowly release it down. And lift. So now we're working the top part of our forearm. And lift. Breathe. And lift. 2 more. Core staying strong, guys. Breath staying slow and steady. And release. Beautiful. Now let's turn. So we're resting on that outer edge of the forearm, and we're going to bring the wrist in and out. In and out. How are we doing? Okay, so noticing if you're like, wow, this part I can really feel that I need a little more work. Knowledge is good, you guys. Knowledge is what it's all about. So learning about ourselves, the things that we're great at, the things that are easy, but also the limitations and the things that are just downright hard. Because those things that are hard, we can work on, and then they're not so hard. It's pretty cool. Good, last one. Take it back. Now bring it back to neutral. Here we go with that hammer. So bring it up as high as you can, and then lowering down as low as you can. Up as high as you can, and lower. So it's like that hammer movement without the swing of the forearm. Now you're probably going to feel this up in that shoulder as well. Breathe. So keeping that forearm down. Last one. And release it down. Awesome job, you guys. So go ahead and shake out the shoulders, the wrists. We're going to take those hands and we're going to interlace our fingers. We're going to bring forearms together, and I just want you to roll your wrists. So keeping those forearms together as best you can. Now this is really kind of funny, you guys. So whichever direction you're going, think about it and reverse it. This is one of those where I'm like, really? Wow. All right. It may not be beautiful, you guys. It's all good. And let's extend those arms out, taking that left hand, pulling those right fingertips back. Just a good stretch. And flip that hand over. Good stretch. So I'm pressing on the back of the hand rather than pulling those fingers back, because I really want to work to get that stretch across the front of the wrist. And switch sides. Using that right hand to pull those left fingertips back. Oh, that feels good, 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 good. Breathe. And flip it over. Fingers to the back of the hand and just gently. So I've got my thumb kind of wrapped behind at the break of the wrist and just using those fingertips to pull back. So hopefully, you guys, you felt some really good stuff there. Hopefully you're feeling a little less of the pain and discomfort. Breathe, go ahead, shake it out. Find that breath. And let's come forward to a tabletop position. Let me move this nonsense. And we're going to a tabletop position. We're going to flip that right hand over. Breathe. So kind of just let your arm come to a position that feels good to you. So that radius and the ulna, the bones in that lower part of the arm, just let them rotate out. We're not forcing anything to happen. We really just want to get that bend in the wrist and feel a good stretch. And flip it back over. And let's do the same thing with that left hand. And again, just adjust. However that arm needs to adjust to get that good stretch. We don't want any pain. And flip it back over. Just little weight shifts forward and back. Let's take those hands forward, forward and back. And let's finish with a nice child's pose. Extend those arms out long. Forehead towards the mat. Let's place the forearms to the mat. Bring the palms to touch. Spread your fingers wide, resting the heels of the hands right up against the back of the head. Breathe. Child's pose is always a good place. So that was a lot of work, guys, for the forearms, for the wrists. Getting into those triceps. So we'll continue our journey exploring, hopefully taking care of the different parts of your body that you need. Extending the arms out nice and long. Go ahead and walk those hands back up. Have a seat. And I just want to take a moment to thank you for joining me today. And I hope this really helped. Feedback is always appreciated. I just appreciate you guys. So take care of yourselves. Be well. And until the next time, my friends, light and love to each and every one of you. Namaste.